Hey guys, thanks for checking out the My Career Path podcast. Today we're going to be talking about what your net worth should be at different ages in your life to see whether or not you're on track or not, or maybe you need to make a couple of changes. So let's get into it. So one of the first things we need to do is define what net worth is. And net worth is simply your assets minus your liabilities. So basically what you own that has any value minus what you owe. So some example of something that you might own is like your house, your savings, your checking account, your vintage Pokemon card collection, things that you could easily sell to basically make cash. Whereas your liabilities are anything you owe. So that would be like your mortgage, your car payment, credit card as well. So anything that you owe people other money, that counts as a liability. So basically you add up everything that you have that you own, subtract what you owe, and that's how you get your net worth. So as we're going through the different examples, just want to make sure that you guys understand how to actually calculate that. And I'll provide a couple of different resources as we go along that you can use to actually calculate your net worth. So this is another tool and resource that you guys can use to actually figure out what your net worth is. This one I'm using is from Nerdwallet. I know Ramsey Solution has one as well, but it's basically a net worth calculator. So it'll go through, ask you different questions about your checking, saving, retirement, and how much you have left on your student loans and whatnot. And so this is kind of a faux account that I just set up. Just to kind of show you how it works. So in the checking account, I have about $700. My savings, I've got $15,000, just a little bit of an emergency fund. My retirement, I've been matching that with our company's 401k. And so I've been doing that for the last several years. So that's kind of had time to build up and it's starting to do a little bit better now that the economy is kind of turning up. So I'm hoping that continues to do well. Real estate, hey, we just bought a house. So we just got a house for, pretty good deal. We now have $275,000 in real estate. That's feeling great. And we just got 2 new cars as well with a promotion I just got at work. So everything's kind of looking up. If you were to add all of those assets up, our net worth, if we didn't have any liabilities, would be about $300,000, which is honestly pretty awesome, especially for me and my age. But when we start to look at the liabilities and what we actually owe, kind of paints a different picture. As you can see here, our mortgage is actually only $250,000. We only had about $25,000 to actually put as a down payment on a house. Credit card debt, we've been kind of using that to pay off our bills. We like getting the reward points for Christmas at the end of the year. We don't actually owe anybody any money as far as friends and family, so that's good at least. But we're still working on paying student loans as, my wife and I both went to college and we're working on getting that paid off. And like I said, we just got 2 new cars at a pretty reasonable price, but we still owe about $6,500. And especially with any of these loans or liabilities, there's interest. And so even though our net worth still kind of calculates out to be about $20,000, with interest, it's going to be a lot harder to grow that in return. So there's just a couple of tools for you guys to actually use. Again, this isn't actually what my financial setup looks like. It's a little bit better than that, not a whole lot, but just to help you guys give an idea of kind of what this looks like. And hopefully you guys can figure out what your own net worth is using the tools down below. I'll make sure to link the 2 net worth calculators, one by Ramsey and one on Nerdwallet, down below in the description. So make sure to check those out. So here's an article from Nerdwallet that kind of goes over the average net worth by age. And Nerdwallet is just a fantastic resource. You'll hear me reference them a lot along with Ramsey Solutions, just about kind of understanding where we are financially. I think it just helps out a ton. So kind of going down here to the graph, it shows less than 35 what your median and average net worth would be. And then kind of every 10 years after that shows where you should be on average. And something that's important to note is knowing the difference between median and average. So kind of calling back to your 4th grade math class, you got to know the difference between a median and an average, where the median is the very middle of the data, whereas the average kind of takes everything, adds it together, and then divides it by however many pieces we have. And in the case of this graph from Nerdwallet, it's probably more important that we go with the median net worth compared to the average, probably because there's a couple of outliers that are really pulling that average up, where the average net worth is $183,500 compared to the median, which is $39,000, meaning that there's a couple of people who are doing incredibly well, making a lot of money. And if that's you, hey, you're doing awesome. But most people are probably going to be in that median net worth of around $39,000 if you're less than 35. And just to help you guys make sure you know why we're taking the median rather than the average, imagine this scenario. We have 10 people in a room. We line them up and we ask them what their salary is on a year-to-year basis. We write down all the numbers and we get the average and the median. And so if it was just 10 average people, we'd probably end up with both around $80,000, $70,000 to $80,000, I'd guess. And that's pretty great. That represents the whole population as a group. But imagine if one of those people was actually Elon Musk. If we took the median salary, it'd still probably be around $70,000 to $80,000. Whereas if we took the average salary would jump up to about $240 million a year. And so you kind of have to see which one best represents the whole population, all 10 people, the median or the average. And in the terms of salary and whatnot, we probably have a couple of outliers that are really pulling that average up, whereas the median is going to be a greater representation of what the overall population would look like. So just kind of going over this chart, if you're younger than 35, the median net worth is about $39,000, whereas if you're between 35 and 44, median net worth is about $135,600. 45 and 54, $247,200. 55 to 64, $364,500. 65 to 74, $409,900, and 75 or older, $335,600. And it's probably worth pointing out that between the ages of 65 and 74 and kind of going into 75 and older, you're probably enjoying retirement, which your net worth is typically going to go down as you're probably not making as much and you're probably spending a little bit more, but hopefully you have a big enough nest egg that can kind of take you into your older years. So another really important factor in determining your net worth is actually knowing what your median salary should be. That'll help you kind of gauge where you are and whether or not you might need to make a change or start doing something else to get your net worth a little bit higher. So here's another graph from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics that show the median earnings by age in the United States. And so kind of breaking it down again, median is probably going to represent the population on a greater scale, where if you're in New York or one of the more populated areas, you'll probably be earning a little bit more, but your expenses might be a little bit higher, and that might offset it. So from 16 to 19, the annual wage is about $31,772. 20 to 24 years old, $38,324. 25 to 34, $52,936. 35 to 44, $63,596. 45 to 54, $64,428. 55 to 64, $63,336. And 65 years or older, $54,184. And again, you probably want to look at this, and it's taking the median, so whether you're higher or lower might not necessarily matter a whole lot, but it should give you at least an idea of where you should be. Are you right around that group where the median salary actually is? And if you are, great. Then we just need to look at ways to actually decrease liabilities or increase assets. And that's an easy way that we can actually increase our net worth. So now that we know kind of where the goalposts are, we just need to figure out how do we get there? And how do we catch up if we're behind? Are we just forever doomed to be behind? I don't think so. And one of the first things that I actually have shared on this channel and way back on my podcast channel, I reviewed a book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. And it was a really great book, and he talked about 6 laws of wealth. And the very first law was save 10% of your income, which is a pretty basic principle. You have to save money in order to increase your net worth. So if you wanted a little bit more about how you can increase your net worth, go over to my podcast channel and actually listen to the Richest Man in Babylon episode. I did that one of the very first book reviews I did on this channel. It talks about the different laws of wealth, highlights some of my favorite parts of the book. Highly, highly recommend it. Hopefully you guys will go check it out right here. So in order to actually increase your net worth, there's basically 2 ways that you can go about it. You can either increase your assets so that you actually have more of them, or you decrease your liabilities so less of it is getting taken away. So earning more money at another job, or maybe taking out another job to actually help cover and increase our net worth may be worth it for a time, especially if we have as much debt as we did in the example back there, where we have student loan payments, a mortgage, car payments, and whatnot. The more money you owe to other people and the more interest there is on those, the less you'll actually have and the less it'll actually attribute to your net worth. So getting those paid off as quickly as possible so that all the money coming in is basically being reinvested or just growing in your net worth helps tremendously. So make sure to try to decrease your liabilities as much as you can. And when you do eventually start getting paid more, whether it be through promotions or other jobs, just make sure you avoid lifestyle creep. It's something that just happens frequently when we start to have more money or we start to pay off debts, is we start to live a little bit more lavishly than maybe we can afford. And lifestyle creep is a term that's kind of thrown around in the financial world, meaning where as soon as we start to make more and more money, we actually start to pay more and more. Our cost of living goes up. We typically will have nicer things like a nicer car, a nicer house, nicer food. We'll eat out more. And so basically, as we earn more money, we're not saving anymore, but we're spending more. And so we're still back at the kind of the same place. And so that's where I think that advice from George S. Clason really comes into play. Saving at least 10% means it doesn't matter whether you're making $5,000 a month or $20,000 a month. You're always going to be at least saving the same amount going forward for the rest of your life. Another really critical way for you to actually build wealth and increase your net worth is investing. And the first way is definitely investing in yourself, whether that be going to college or a master or some program or certificate, or whether it's just learning skills online, dedicating some amount of time to actually investing. And that's where this episode's sponsor actually comes in. From Skillshare. So Skillshare is something that I've used in the past and I'm actually still using right now to learn video editing, audio editing, so I can actually produce this show. And you're welcome to try it for 1 month absolutely free, no charge to you. Use the code MyCareerPathFree, that's all lowercase, no spaces, and you can get the first month of Skillshare absolutely free. And when you do decide to actually stick with it and go for a whole year, use the code MyCareerPath30, that's MyCareerPath30, to get 30% off your first year. And so it's just critical that we continue learning, and we're always learning throughout our life, because investing in ourselves is some of the best ways that we can actually improve our net worth. And of course, another way is just investing in the stock market or investing into mutual funds or 401ks or Roth IRAs, just making sure that your money is actually working for you. So I would highly recommend finding a financial advisor or someone in your area that you can reach out to that can help you guide through that process. And if your company offers a 401k or a Roth IRA, especially in a match, I would utilize that as soon as you can, because it's basically just free money. You're getting 100% investment if you're investing 3%, and your company will match that 3%, which is growth that you probably will never get anywhere else. And the earlier you start to do it, the greater increase you'll have towards the end where you're going into retirement. And when you hit that 75 plus range, you can really enjoy your nest egg. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you're able to see kind of where you are right now and if you need to make some changes, or whether you're doing awesome and you can just continue to do so. Hopefully you're able to learn something. If you did, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to share it with a friend. I'd love to know what other careers you guys are interested in. I love having people on the show talk about their careers and share their path, so that hopefully you guys can find your dream jobs and figure out what you actually want to do. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.